Good morning, guys. So this morning I'm thinking about self-talk. So it's kind of interesting. You may think of like I'm a person who doesn't necessarily, who's not constantly flowing with the words as far as like, if I'm in a conversation with somebody, I'm doing all the talking or I have a constant burning desire to teach and preach in a way that's like, it just, overflows, typically. Now, doing these videos has been kind of an interesting experience, and I am, I'd say in general enjoying this. But what's interesting, though, is that we're all having a conversation, if you will, going on in our heads. So there's a certain sense in which you are talking to yourself most of the time, I would say. Now, maybe, I don't know how it is in other people's heads, but most of us are having thoughts. And I dare to say that most of our thoughts, unless we're at this next level of maturity, most of our thoughts are about ourselves. And or I mean, obviously we think about tasks we're doing and all that stuff, but a lot of our thoughts tend to be about ourselves, how we're feeling about things, and what we want or don't want. And it's kind of interesting. I think it's very easy. Okay, so you might have noticed that in some families, let's say they yell at each other a lot, or in some families maybe they don't talk a lot, or like, so there's different communication styles. Well, when you grow up in one, in that whatever family you grow up in, to you that seems normal because it's what's always the case, right? And 'cause that's just your environment. It seems you're very adapted to it, and then that's your baseline for what is natural, normal, and is however you grew up, right? So it's interesting about the conversation in our heads, if you will, the thoughts we're saying to ourselves. Those also seem very normal, right? Because we tend to think a lot of the same thoughts, and we tend to say a lot of the same things to ourselves. So if we get up in the morning and it's like, well, I should have gotten up earlier, and then if you scroll on your phone and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have scrolled on my phone, and or let's say, maybe you got to work late and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have gotten to work late, or if you got to work on time but then you wasted time at work on a project that didn't succeed, and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have wasted time on that project. Anyway, it's very easy to it's very easy to have negative chatter in your head about how you're not doing well enough, how you're not doing good. And I'm sure various personalities are very different, but I think I'm finding that the should voice in my head, if you will, is kind of loud, kind of constant. Like, not. I'm sure there's all varying degrees of it, but it's just interesting. Now, the way I have my life designed, I like to have a fair bit of freedom in it, and so with freedom, comes responsibility, and I don't always make great choices with how I use my time. I don't always make great choices with how I allocate, my resource of time, and so it can be easy to get some negative chatter going in my head about what I'm doing, and I think that. So anyway, this is just the thought for the day here is be aware of what you're saying to yourself. Are you being kind to yourself? Would you be if your thoughts were spoken out loud to someone else about them, would that person want to be with you? Would that person want to be around you? Would that be a friendly voice? And if not, maybe we need to learn a better way to think and to talk to ourselves.